Welcome back to Worthington's Kitchens. Today we'll be joined with a special guest, Scott Burns.
Hey, good morning. How are you? Today we're going to be making some sourdough bread, and sourdough bread there's a little process to it. It takes about a day and a half. So the first thing we got to do is make what's called our leaven. Then our basic ingredients here are flour, water, and what I suggest is I go camping a lot, so I have this water filtration system, and I have water in it, and I'll use this water. But most people will go to the supermarket and just get themselves a bottle of water, and the reason you do that is your tap water has chlorine in it. And this is our third ingredient here. This is my sourdough culture, and so we're going to be using some of that today. And the reason we want to use bottled water or filtered water is that the chlorine in your tap water will kill some of the yeast in your sourdough culture. All right, so you ready?
Yep.
Well, this part's pretty easy. We are going to add 100 grams of flour. And if you're not weighing out your flour on the internet, that comes to about 3/4 of a cup of flour. The next thing I'm going to do with my flour is I'm going to just kind of make a well in the middle. So I pushed it off to the sides of my bowl. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is going to add my water. So I'm going to put 100 grams of water in, and if you do the conversion, that's a little bit less than a half a cup of water that's going to go in. So, and I'm a little bit over, but that's okay. So we've added our water. Okay. Now the last step is I want to add 25 grams of my starter.
Yep.
Okay. So I think that's about a teaspoon. So there's lots of ways that you can make a sourdough culture. Maybe the easiest is to find a friend who's already got it and then borrow some from them. Otherwise, what you're doing is you're mixing up about an equal amount of water and flour each day and mixing that up, covering it, leaving it out overnight. And then the next day you again take an equal amount of flour and water and just a little bit of your first day's batch of sourdough, and you mix that up and leave it out. And you do that every day for about a week, and then you'll have a really good sourdough culture at the end of the week. We just store this in the refrigerator, and about every 7 to 10 days, if you haven't used it, you make up a new batch.
Yep, and that's the feeder, right?
Yep, you feed it. It's a living thing. All right, so we're done with our kitchen scale. What I'm gonna do now is just mix up my mix, stir it up. Sometimes you have to add a little more water to it as you're stirring. It's not an exact science.
And what's the consistency
You
you're
want
looking
it to
for?
be like a super thick pancake batter, or some people say it's kind of like pudding. Like, I'm getting pretty close to having mine mixed here, but it's a little thicker than what I want it. So I'm gonna grab my water again, kind of wet down the top of it. And I'll give that a mix and we'll see where we're at. It's a little bit better. Pretty close. And I really like what I have there. Now, the last thing is we're going to cover this and we're going to let it set 4, 5, 6, 7 hours, and then we'll start mixing up our bread dough.
Welcome back. It's been a couple hours. This is ready to go. What's the
Yes.
next step?
The next step is we're going to mix up our dough. So,
Okay.
but I just wanted to say something earlier about our leaven mix here. Why don't we have any yeast in there? Well, we do have yeast, but it's wild yeast that's from all around us. So that's why we don't have the little bottle of Fleischmann's yeast that we put in there.
Yep, it's already in the starter.
Yes. And the other thing I mentioned about the water that we're using, it's at like room temperature.
Yep.
So sometimes when you do it, you put it in the microwave for a little bit just to heat it up. But I think I'm good to go.
Good to go?
We're good to go. So we are going to start by getting our white flour here, and I'm going to add 375 grams of white flour. So I'm going to add some wheat flour to it, 125 grams of that. Wheat flour to it. And you got to get up to 818. So 726. And we're just making a single loaf too. A lot of your recipes will make a double loaf.
This is just one.
So this is just one, yeah. I've cut it in half.
And with baking, it's pretty important to get close to exact measurements, right?
Yeah. People will debate that. Is this an art or a science? I kind of go with the science thing, so that's why I've got my little scale here. So, and then this is just to kind of get a good mix on your two flours so they're a little bit more uniform. So you remember what I did earlier when we made our leaven there? I made kind of a well. So I'm going to do that again.
And what is the point of making the well?
It's easier to mix, yep. Exactly. So there we got the well made. Now we're going to add water. And I got that measured out. I'm going to add 350 grams of water. That's going to be really tough to see too. All right, there we go. Now we're going to add our leaven. There we go, good enough. This is sticky stuff. So we'll put that over there. And then I just start mixing. Sometimes you see people when they're making this on the internet, instead of using a spoon, use chopsticks.
Chopsticks?
I've never tried that though. So you can see it's still pretty liquidy, but I got a lot of flour to put in there yet.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to squirt just a little bit more water on there. But you can see it's starting to come together now.
And what's the consistency you're gonna go for?
Oh, this will be a solid ball of sticky
Solid
dough
ball.
when we're done. So.
And you want all that flour mixed in,
Yep,
right?
yep. So you can see I've got dry flour on the side and my dough is pretty much come together. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna grab my little scraper here. I'm gonna scrape some of the dough off the side and the bottom. And I can tell I probably should add just a little bit more water. So I'm gonna splash a little water in there. Splash a little water in there. There's one more ingredient that we have to add too, but we add that after a rest period, and that's going to be just a little bit of salt.
A little bit of salt?
A little bit of salt.
Is that for flavor or is that part of the...
Yep. Kind of amazing. Flour, water, and salt.
And that's all it is?
That's all it is. Well, there are a lot of recipes where you can add other things in there too if you want. Different kind of seasonings. So, all right, my dough is looking really good there. Because what we're going to do now is we're going to let this set for 30 minutes. Then we're going to add a little bit more water and our salt.
Yep.
All right, so we'll see you in half an hour. All right, I got about 10 grams of salt here, and I'm going to add about half of it. You can sometimes you put it all in at once, but I don't know. Other people I've looked at say work half of it in and then go get the other half. Okay. I'm going to take just a little bit of water now because that'll help dissolve that salt a little bit and it'll mix in better.
Okay.
So I sprinkled a little water on there. Now I'm going to get my hands wet. Adding our salt. And then we're gonna mix the salt in and we're gonna do our first stretch and fold.
Okay.
So I just dump my salt in there and you can see what I'm doing, right? I'm squishing my hands together.
Yep.
All right. Go ahead and grab the other round of salt in there. And I'll just splash a little more water on. Don't need a lot.
If you put too much, it's gonna get too sticky, right?
Well,
oh, you don't have to worry
no,
about that.
you don't really have to worry about that. All right, so I'm gonna mix this again. good, feels good. Now, I'm gonna get a little more water on my hands because my dough is sticky. This is the nice thing about this. Usually when you're kneading dough, you make a big mess on your countertop, but everything stays inside the bowl. So I pick it up and stretch it, fold it over. Then I rotate my bowl, and I pick it up and I stretch it again, and I fold it over. Then I do a quarter turn again, stretch it, fold it, and I do one last time. I stretch it and fold it. So that's my first of 4 stretches and folds. I put my towel back on top. And now I'm going to let it sit for 20 minutes.
Okay.
Okay? And then we'll do more stretches and folds. We're back. So this is like our second stretch and fold. So here's what our dough is looking like now.
Yep.
Each time I do this, it's going to get a little softer. Grab the towel off there for me.
Yep.
Right, this is our third stretch and fold. We're getting close. Which number of stretch and fold are we on?
We're on number 4, I believe.
All right, we're going to stretch and fold for the final time. And then our dough's got to sit for a while before we do the next thing. So I'm going to shoot a little bit of oil onto it instead of putting the towel back on. We're going to use some plastic wrap. Good.
And just the top, you don't have to hold it or anything.
Nope, I don't. So we have to leave it alone for 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours now. Then we will do what's called shape the dough. There we go.
There we go.
Step 18.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, we're back.
You think we're ready to bake?
It's looking a little not loaf-like right now.
Yep, we got one more step, and that's called shaping the bread. I have 2 special bowls here. This would be kind of like you're just doing a 1-pound loaf. Often when you see sourdough loaves, it's rounded, so that's what I'm doing here. These you can get with a liner, or you can use them without a liner. The first thing we want to do is, I have some cornmeal here, and I want to put that in the bottom of this. You have to remember your sourdough is kind of sticky. And I'm going to take some flour, and what I want to do is kind of flour the outside of that. And what that does, it just helps me get my loaf out when we go to the final step, which is baking. Okay, now I'm going to take my cellophane wrapper over, and I think I'll try to use that again because we have one more step before we shape and cook. I'm going to put a little flour down there. It doesn't take a lot. And then I have another special tool here. Kind of looks like a shaving brush, doesn't it?
Yep.
I'm going to just...
And can you do it without these things? Or?
Oh yeah. Yep. This just gives me kind of more of a uniform spread of my flour than if I just do it with my hands.
Okay.
Yeah, but so if you kind of take a look at our dough here, you won't get a very good look at that. But I can have my assistant here look at this, and you see it's about doubled in size from yesterday, and we know it's ready because it's rounded off and it's pulled away from the edges a little bit. So that's good. That's how you want it to look. If you have, sometimes you have little bubbles in there like that, and you can just either use your finger or take a fork and pop them.
And you want to pop them, right?
Yeah, usually you do. Even with my next step here, they should be okay because we're going to work the dough a little bit, and they probably would pop naturally as I do that. Okay, I got to get my dough out of the bowl. So this is a bread scraper here. Yep. Let's see, I can probably spin it your way. Let me see, it's rolling out, and I want to drop it on my floured surface there. There we go. Okay, it's looking nice, isn't it? Can't eat that yet though. Okay, I'm gonna go get a little water on my hands like I always seem to be doing. Now we are going to, I'm gonna grab my bread here, spin it a little bit that way, pulling a little bit that way. So I've kind of got like a triangle on my table now.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna fold it up. I'm gonna take my next one, I'm gonna fold it up. I'm gonna take my final side and fold it up. So you see now it's a little bit bigger that way. Okay, and I'm gonna take my knife here and I'm going to flip it over. Okay, and now I'm just gonna push it, and this way you don't want too much bread on your surface because you use that and you just spin it a few times. You can see it's rounding off.
Yep.
From what it was like. So I've got a good shape there. Okay. Next thing I want to do is just pick it up and gently plop it in there. Okay. All right. Not quite done yet. The last thing I do before I put my greased cellophane on there is what they call knitting. The knitting is almost like lacing up your shoes. So you see where my hands are? I'm going to pinch my bread, fold it over. Pinch, fold over, pinch, fold over. Spin it and do the same thing from the other thing. So I'm like crossing my bread, okay? So that's really easy to do. So I just grab some and pinch it. I grab some and pinch it. I'll spin this the other way. Grab another one and pinch it. Grab another one and pinch it. Okay, then I do the same thing on the end. I grab a little bit on the end, fold it over, and I grab a little bit more on the end, and I just fold it over. That step is called knitting. And this will rise up a little bit more. So I think I'll just kind of flour the edge just a little bit more there, not a lot, because we want to get it out of the basket when we go to our baking step. All right, so you have any questions there?
Nope.
I'm gonna put my oiled cloth back on, and then this is gonna go back into the refrigerator. And some people do it overnight, some people do it for about 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, something like that. And then pull it out, and then you'll be cooking.
We're back.
Yeah, and so baking sourdough bread, is it a quick process or about like a day and a half process?
About a day and a half.
Now, I can't remember. Do you remember great-grandmother Beck?
No.
No, he doesn't. So this is a bread pan that she would use. So this is older than me, it's older than you. If I was baking the sourdough in this, I would need to add probably a big cast iron pan to my oven, and I'd need to put water in that to make steam. But we're not going to use this. We're going to use a Dutch oven, and I have hot pads because the first thing you do is you bake at like 450 degrees, and you got to have a hot pan. So the Dutch oven goes in the oven first, and you heat it up.
Yep.
So we're going to be very careful. I want to be able to get my bread out, so I'm taking some cornmeal, and I'm putting that in the bottom there. And that should help us get it out. And I'm going to go get my hands wet.
Yep.
And we're going to put the bread in there.
Nice.
This is the trickiest step. This is the trickiest step because sometimes like I said, it's a sticky dough, and it doesn't always like to come out easily.
Yep.
So here we go. Oh, so that's what it looks like. And then I just gently Drop it in the bottom there. It didn't go in quite as good as I want. And now I want to slash it. So you can use a knife, you can use a razor blade, and I have this little special tool. So I just put it kind of like a U shape in the top with it. All right, that looks pretty good to me. Now I'm gonna bring it over to the oven.
Yep.
So I grab my hot pads again. Okay, I'm gonna put it inside. Actually, I'm gonna put my lid on like that. Gotta be careful because you don't want to burn yourself. It's a hot oven. And I close it up. And now we're gonna bake for about 45 minutes. But the first 20 minutes are gonna be with the lid on your Dutch oven. And then at the end of that, you take the lid off and then you go for another 20 to 25 minutes and we'll see what happens. So final step, we'll be back in 45 minutes.
See you then.
See you then. So our timer just went off, so I'm gonna go get our bread out of the oven. Good look at it there. Yep. Okay, and then when he's ready, what we're gonna try to do is get it out of the pan. I think I got a pretty good loaf here, and it might be a little bit tricky getting it out of there. All right, are you ready?
Yep.
We're gonna go over to here where I have my, oh no, it's gonna come right out. I have my cooling rack. Just tell me when you're ready. You ready? Okay.
Yep.
So I'm just gonna tip it. I'll put that there. So it's very hot. It looks like inside. And you can hear that. That's really nice. I got a nice, crispy, crunchy exterior. Chewy is what some people would say. And then the inside, I should be nice and fluffy. And, okay, let me just kind of, you can see the bottom crust is there. Just dust that off too. And then this is kind of what the sourdough is noted for, is those delicious little holes in there.
Yep.
So this loaf turned out exactly the way you'd want it to. And voila, sourdough bread.
Nice.
Yeah.